Hey there, welcome to today's episode. I want to see if we can come up with some 90s sounding boom bap. I don't really go in for emulating certain eras and copying certain producers, so I feel like you take your inspiration from them and then you kind of carve out your own sound. But I thought it would be kind of fun to just do this one today with the 90s kind of vibe. We're going to start with some drums, mode and load, and let's find some. Actually, we're already in a kicks folder, so that's going to help us out. That one there. I'm looking for kind of punchy, relatively short sampled drums. Let's go over here and say yes, load it to our first pad, and then we need some kind of hi-hats and things to go with it. So let's just go into the first folder. Perfect. Again, short, choppy, snappy. I think that will be the right sound. Do it, load it to pad 2, and let's go right back out so that I can go to snares, which is way down the bottom. That one's cool. There's a weird little hi-hat on the end of it, but it's the right sound. So let's say yes and load it to pad 3. We'll go mode and trim. Take a look at that sample where we can see the hi-hat at the end. So we'll just move over to the end and I'm just going to chop that. Mode and program. We're dealing with tracks and programs, old school style MPC. Let's turn up our volume of our kicks and our snares to 100. Put full level on. Let's set the tempo. I'm going to go up. Let's do 88 because it's 90s vibes. Typically, the BPM I think was a little faster back then than it is with kind of today's new bap where things have slowed down a little bit. That's our basic pattern. Mode and pad 15, shift and view means we can look at the step sequencer, and while I'm in here, this is bar 2 that I'm currently looking at. We'll change the other bar in a second. Just some slight variation to the velocity on the hi-hats. Take a look at my kick drums. I noticed because I had quantization on this kick drum, it's not quite where I want it to be. I think I'd rather that one was over here, and because this is like a step sequencer, I can kind of put these wherever I like. And we'll add another one in here, slightly lower in terms of velocity as well. Got nice kind of boom bap feel to it, nice and simple. Let's make it more boom bappy. We'll go mode and load. And what I'm looking for here is some perk sounds, tambourine, something like that, because I think you listen to old Lord Finesse stuff, there'd be a lot of like little shakers and tambourine sounds, maybe some ride cymbals. That one's good enough. Let's not be too fussy. Pad number 4, yes. Overdub and record. Play start though. Let's do mode and program. Might just bring the volume down. I want them to be in there, but they shouldn't really be at the forefront. And what I like to do is pitch them down as well to get a slightly darker sort of vibe. Simple as that. So we've created our first drum loop. That's really all I want for the drums for now. I want to bounce them down. I'm going to do this to an audio track because with this particular MPC, JJOSXL, it's really simple if you want to get a perfect loop. All I have to do is create an audio track. So we'll create a new track, number 2. We'll make that an audio track. Make sure that mode and record is set to my main output. So when we record this, it's taking it from the MPC itself. There we go, already recorded a perfect loop, and that is now in the sample pool. So mode and trim, where we can take a look at it. So if we want to make this slightly lo-fi, a little bit more, we can change the bit rate and the sample rate. I'm going to leave it at 12-bit. I don't know if I want to make it as low as 1100. Let's make it 22. I'm going to say overwrite. Let's just commit. That's now committed and just overwritten what was there already. You'll notice here, you can normalize beyond 100%, so that's 100% will take you to like 0 dB, but then you can push it beyond, maybe like 130, not too much. We're going to create a little bit of distortion, but it's going to act like a clipper and clip those transients. So we'll say do it, and you'll notice hopefully there from the waveform, you can see it's kind of clipped them a little bit. Next thing is to set that up inside of the project. So let's go to main. We don't need this audio track anymore, so while we're still selected, we can just delete it, get rid of it. We'll move back to our first track, and I'm going to erase all of the MIDI information for that track because we're not using the individual drum sounds anymore. Go to mode and program, shift and all, so we've selected everything, move over to the samples and just clear everything back out. Then we can just take that back off. We can move up to pad 1 and find our new sample, and in here it's called Take 3, I guess. With this as well, I don't want it to overlap, so that one sample I'm just going to make sure is monophonic, so it's not going to overlap itself as it loops around. So that's set up, record it back in, full level. Perfect, so our drums are done and they're bounced down to one audio file so that we can kind of grungy them up a little bit using some of those effects. We need a new sample. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to a new track, and over here we're going to create a new program, so it doesn't really matter what we have set up here. It's already set up to drum samples. We could change it to something else, but we don't need to. What we need to do is load a new sample. I kind of like this one called the Birds Loop. It's got kind of a nice vibe to it. I'm going to say do it, but I'm not going to load it to a pad. I'm going to load it into the sample pool. We just want to find it inside the trim in the sample pool where we can chop the thing up. It's a perfect loop, so when we go into chopping and do slicing, 16 or 8 slices is going to work very well. 16 is probably too many chops. Shift for whole numbers, otherwise you get these kind of increments where you can slide around. But shift will get me down to 8 chops. Let's do 8. Good enough. I'm going to say do it. We can tidy up, we can mess around later on. It's non-destructive slicing, so if you need to move through, for every single pad, you'll have the whole sample that you can kind of maneuver through. We're going to say new program and do it. We could name it. We'll just leave it like that. Mode and program so that we can just check. This one is in mono. That's a quick way of making sure everything's in a mute group. Go to the sample. Let's take a quick listen to the volume in comparison to our drums. Yeah, it's not bad. We just need to work out something that, works with the beat. What we can do is maybe just chop the samples down a little bit. For the 90s style, when you think of like DJ Premier, part of his technique seemed to be to crop the samples quite short, so you get these like little stabs, and there are kind of moments of silence that maybe he like fills in with other sounds. If we go back to mode and trim, and we take a look at these sample slices, probably these 3 pads are the ones I'm going to work with the most. Let's just drop down to start and end. And what we can do is we can just crop it down. And just give it that short tail. And do the same here. That gives me more of a kind of 90s vibe than letting the sample play out. So what we'll do, we'll put that in and then we'll look for some like little interesting ways of kind of filling out those gaps. Maybe we can do like a 3-bar repetition with like the something different at the end of the 4th bar. We need to extend though because we're only dealing with 2 bars. So we'll do mode, we'll do sequence edit, we'll go to bars, and we're going to tell it what we want to change. So from bar 1 to bar 2, that's the end of the 2 bars. We want to do after bar 2, we want to make a copy, 1 copy, say do it. So rather than just making the sequence longer, we're copy and pasting it so we've got all that information. Now let's see if we can record in just something to fill up the 4 bars. That sounds about right to me. Got a kind of 90s DJ Premier sort of feel. Let's take a listen to just the sample chops on their own. That's what I'm kind of interested in. So we're going to mute out our drums for a second. While we're here, I'm listening for the bass line. There is bass to that sample, so really probably just an EQ boost would be good enough. But if we wanted to, we could come in and put a bass line in. So let's try it. Mode and program. We're going to go over to our filter and then we're going to turn this on for everything. So all. Let's move over and change this to a high pass. Now when I play my sample chops, you won't hear anything because the frequency is set to 100. But we can dial this in. You can dial it into taste, but essentially what we're doing is we're taking that bass out of the way, or taking some of the bass out of that sample in order to put a bass line in. So we'll create a new track, we'll go mode and load, and we'll find a bass sample. just a typical bass note, we'll say do it. And I'm going to load it to pad 1 and say yes. Back on main, we can do this in a couple of different ways on this device. We do have kind of like key group tracks, which give you a little bit more. I'm just going to go with 16 levels though. And I'm going to set this, make sure it's pad 1. And I want it set for tuning, turn it on. There we go, bassline's in. Have to adjust volumes and things later on, but for now that's good enough. Let's take 16 levels off. Let's bring our drums back in. We'll add a couple of last things in. Let's go to main, add a new track. It's going to be a drum track. Mode and load, where we can pick a couple of other sounds to finish off. I'm going to come down to textures, where we got some vinyl textures and things, some vinyl static. We're going to say do it. And we're going to load that up. I can put it onto pad 1 and just very quickly record our vinyl sample in here. I think maybe a couple of little effect sounds just to sweeten the deal. That's a kind of cool sound. Let's just load that to pad 2. Let's just see if there's another one. Something like that. Let's not be too fussy. Record that in. We need to overdub it though. So we've got that in. Let's find this one. We're going to finish off with just trying to put a couple of little scratches on the turntable. So what we'll do here, we'll create one more track. This time it's going to be an audio track. We need to make sure our recording mode is now set to our input, so analog. This should be set up, hopefully. I just need a record to put on here. I've got this little scratch record to get this thing lined up. And this will be a little bit rough because I'm going to do it on the fly and I have to stand up in order to do it. Let's just quickly record. So let's see what happens. I'm going to have that as number 1. We'll add in another track. We'll go to our tracks, and with this one, we're going to add another audio track. And then just a little something, maybe like a little R sound. Let's do another track. So what we'll do here is we'll turn this into an audio track as well. It's a little bit scrappy, but I don't want to spend too long messing around with these. There we go. I'm going to leave it there for today's episode. Hope you've enjoyed this session. See you guys in the next one. Take care.